Thanks, everyone. So I'll start off by saying that if solving today's AI's problem is one of the biggest challenge today, try getting these four on a panel together, or even try to get on a phone call between one's private jet not working, other solving something into stealth mode. It's been something crazy to get them all here together, but it's so awesome to have all of you all here, so thank you. You know who these guys are. They're here. We're not going to take time to go through the introductions. We're going to go and just dive right in. So please ask us questions towards the end, because the most important part is every new question today can unlock a new perspective. So starting with that, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to go in the order for you. In each of your verticals today, where is AI making an impact truly at a P&L level that's not theoretical, but actually into applied science that you're seeing?
Sure, thanks for the question. So look, the reality is CoStar is projecting muted growth for 26 in the RevPAR. All of our hotel owners are looking for managing the middle of the P&L, either finding a inexpensive way to grow top line or finding a way to manage the middle. Where we're seeing actionable P&L improvement with real life AI adoption is two areas. On the bottom of the P&L, in the middle expense, we're seeing it in the talent acquisition space. We're leveraging a lot of AI when it comes to screening, interviewing, and selecting candidates. We have 7,000 associates. You know what the turnover is in our industry. We have a lot of candidates to get through, and we want to make sure we're doing that in an unbiased way. At the top of the P&L, we just took over the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. You probably know that hotel from the movie The Shining. The hotel has been around a long time. Revenue manager, no system. We used great opportunity to pilot a fully agentic AI solution there. And we're seeing great revenue on the top line. So I think there's opportunities on both, but that's real. Those are two real use cases. Happy to talk about in the break.
Yeah, and for us, we are still in baby stealth. So I'm going to share as much as I can without getting in trouble. I have some folks here in the audience that are spotters that'll wave at me if I'm saying too much. But it's been an incredible journey since I've jumped into deep tech with our team. What we're seeing with our agentic framework is the ability to drive significant amounts of revenue to the top line. Our agents have the ability to communicate across each department to make decisions collectively. And this is something that I learned from being an operator in the physical sense. So we essentially brought the team together, both our deep tech engineers, scientists, and then our hotel subject matter experts. And then we deployed all the information that we've learned through our lived experiences within each one of these AI agents. I myself vibe coded. Hope you know what that means. Everybody knows what vibe coding is? If you don't, look it up. About 50 agents, and we started testing through a simulation that we built internally as well. So we're really excited to go to market. A lot of you in this room have already signed up through LOIs, but looking forward to a few more. And top-line revenue has been our focus to start. Foundation will be the first model released. And then from there, it's more so expense management, right? You really have to think about the data call. How long does it take for you to get information from your team that you can action to allow you to make a decision that's rooted in truth, true data, not speculative talk or thought, to be able to execute on whatever it is you're working on. We streamline all of that in a matter of seconds. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. Similar to Matt, we're also a franchisee with about 7,000 associates. Staffing has always been a challenge, and so trying to get people through the hiring process as quickly as possible, that has been a great place where we have found some excellent ways to use AI and facilitate the hiring process. We're not doing the screening right now. It's more just how do we make this process go faster? We're a 24/7 business. Can we take applications at midnight and have the interview scheduled within the next 24 hours? That type of thing that we're doing. Expense reductions is also huge. With staffing being tight, a lot of our hotels are still understaffed. So any efficiencies we can build, especially at the front desk, that we can build, we're putting some AI solutions in place to take some of that pressure off the AYS teams and the front desk from answering phones and things like that. I'll use some of those examples later. But it's, again, mostly been on the, what I would say, bottom line expense reduction and efficiency building that we've done so far.
Thanks. I represent a hotel management company, and we operate over 500 or 600 hotels. And very complex sort of network of hotels ranging from independents to brands to so to really put a number on P&L, it's extremely difficult. But we do have AI islands, so to say, for lack of better words, that we are deploying, and I'm sure I'll have a much better answer that can be represented in numbers next year. But we are working very hard to deploy some of these resources in these AI islands. A couple of areas, much with agreeing with my colleagues, is in the area of CRM. We have some AI that's working in place, but we're also in advanced conversation with some leading players in the market to identify use case scenarios and tranches where we can apply AI efficiently to bring meaningful gains in the future. But at this point in time, I can't say anything that's going down to the bottom of the P&L.
Thanks, Gopu. I'm going to put the question now, Matt, to you. You see new AI products coming in constantly. Oh, it's gold today, like it's crap tomorrow, and there's a constant cycle of this. How have you seen that AI has actually simplified your ecosystem, and how do you speak to an owner? You're not just trading old chaos for new or new chaos for old, right? Like, how do you kind of speak to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Look, the reality is many of us are living in the chaos, and I think, 2 months ago, I flew out to DC. I had a chance to sit with someone from OpenAI, and he said, look, I sit with Fortune 500 boards all the time, and they all ask me the same question: what do I do with this AI thing? Right? Just like all of our executives and boards are trying to figure out the same deal. And the reality is, and George mentioned it, you need the bottom up and the top down. And most of us are living in the chaos. It is an and in the chaos. We're living in the chaos because we're still living in the bottom up. Right? For the last 3 years, we've been inundated. Jeff said 50 calls a week. We get inundated with bottom-up, increased productivity solutions. Microsoft Copilot, Superhuman Email, Beautiful AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Box AI, Zoom AI. I mean, it's just like it's an infinite number, and the ecosystem just continues to grow every week. And it's all just a lot of chaos. And so in the top down, how you rise above that is you got to pick, and I'll tell you what this gentleman said. He said, when I sit with these boards, you got to sit down with your executives, don't look at the AI at all, think about what are your core business problems, and pick 2 to 5 of them and put a stake in the ground with real money and real resources and say, we're going to try to solve this, and then we're going to go find the AI tool that makes sense. We just had an executive retreat last week, and that's exactly what we did. Trust me, all of my peers are sitting there with 100 bottom-up solutions, and we sat there and said, hey, let's try to eliminate the chaos. Let's pick 2 to 5 things that we're going to put a stake in the ground and try to solve in 2026. And I think that's the advice I would give you. That, and as the last panel said, AI literacy. Because part of what's driving that bottom-up chaos and all these productivity tools is that not everyone speaks the same language. Not everyone is educated to the same level on what is AI, how do I use ChatGPT, how do I use Gemini, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would say, as you look into 2026, focus on AI literacy. Make 26 the year that you go from literacy to proficiency, right? And then really sit with your executive teams and your business leaders and think about what are those 2 to 5 top down, because we're still going to have the chaos of bottom up, I think, for foreseeable future.
Makes sense. Thank you. Gopu, I'm going to shift to you with Highgate, with 500 plus hotels across the board. You have seen the person who's winning right now are ones who are the strongest aggregators of data, be it the third-party channels, be it the metas, et cetera. How do you see it from a commercial lens, the dependence on them going a lot more on the stronger side, or do you see what can especially independent hotels do in this space that all of their websites work in silos, et cetera?
Great question. I mean, it's been a dilemma. If you look at independent hotels, we've always wondered why we've been losing share over the last decade. If you look at the brand contribution pie and where they've gone to, it's a shrinking sort of business segment. So I think I consider this sort of a level set playground now. I think we're going to reset some of these things, undo some of the things that we've been doing incorrectly in the independent hotel world. So let's take an example of how independent hotels function today. The foundational setup where we allow our competition to buy our keywords, put their rates publicly on meta search platform representing your hotel, sort of making it own marketplace for a search that came for your branded keyword. And then just take a look at our website, the way we manage our website and the way we really invest in our website. Our contents are dated. We don't We don't have any personalization today. It's sort of a buzzword now. We have unstructured data. Schemas are probably not the best. Our FAQs are dated. So let's start there. Let's fix those basic stuff first, and then we start talking about the second part where how does agentic AI pick up your independent hotels, right? So let's start investing in the right places with proper images, better content, and also the fact that the funnel's sort of changing, because one thing that we can't fight is consumer behavior. Consumers, as many people rightly mentioned, have kind of shifted the way they start their journey. If that's going to be through agentic channels, independent hotel, I think Expedia and Booking.com has made a lot of headway in that sort of direction. How can we be nimble and take that democratization of data given by Google to or AI agents to kind of make yourself the best ambassadors of your own independent brand? Because every image, every content that you supply to third party, you own it. You're the ones who are supplying it to them. So you're the best resource for all the contents that represents your product. How can we rewire and reorganize that in your own website to make it more visible and make it more transactable? So I think we all understand that the keyword searches are shifting to sort of contextual queries. How do we sort of make sure that those elements are captured on our website and all the marketplaces that we represent ourselves in?
Thanks, Gopu. So a follow-up question, you talked about contextual journey, right, and how it's changing. How do you see the guest journey is going to be disruptive? Like even thinking 3 years out seems quite far out, but even in the next 1 or 2 years, do you believe it's still going to be from the metas and the OTAs, et cetera, or do you believe there's going to be a new disruptor that we haven't even seen or thought of yet that's going to evolve?
I think Harman spoke about how this whole magic happens to Sarah, who would have had an experience and could have had a different experience. But our biggest dilemma is how many Sarahs are we touching today? In a 100-room hotel, if get all things right, and we're probably getting 15-20% website contribution, that's the Sarah that we're actually touching. But the 80 other customers, we don't even know where they're coming from. We have no information about them. So we're missing out on a big chunk of that pie. How do we kind of rewire the system so that we are touching every guest that comes into the hotel, agnostic to the channel they book from? Now, going to your question, I think Google Maps is a great resource. I don't think agentic AI or generative AI is sort of disrupting that. That is always going to be context to the Googles. So and then you have a value-driven traveler will continue to go to the OTAs of the world because of the loyalty program that we have funded. That makes it the reason why they want to go back to that. I think for planning purposes, agentic and generative AI still continues to be who gives a much better itinerary, sort of bridges the experiences and the dolphin tours of the world into one platform. To future disruptor, I would say I foresee generative AI sort of right now it's sort of the top of the funnel. If they integrate with payment services, how do they get to the bottom of the funnel? How can you fulfill an entire transaction on ChatGPT or Gemini? That could be something that you could use. Yep. I think Kayak is already working on it. TikTok has come up with travel ads now. So those are all areas that are disruptors, I think.
Thanks, Gopu. So Vaughn, I'll come to you, and then I think this is a question for everyone. When you look at AI and there's so much noise, there's so much conversation about this is great or you should apply this. What is one of the myths in AI that you would want to kill right now, having the stage? And I'll start with you and we'll go around.
Yeah, we can answer all those questions as well. Nimbus, yes, we are the disruptor, everyone. Just want to make that clear. No, seriously, these are the things that we are actually solving internally. This is 14 years starting as a bellman manager in training all the way up. I mean, it's a lot of frustrations with the tech stack that I experienced firsthand. That with some of the other subject matter experts on the team, we're addressing. So I love those questions. Can't wait to show you what we're doing. But hey, the number one myth I would say is that these models aren't capable of doing the narrow tasks in hospitality. That's a number one myth. I'll give you an example, and please wave at me if I'm going too deep here. We ran a simulation with our foundation product, which is our revenue management, the one I told you about with all the AI agents. We didn't give it too many of guidance and direction as to what the agents need to do. The coordinator did its job, talked to every single agent within the framework, and we said, okay, this is the hotel's data. We would like to grow our ADR by 10% and keep our occupancy at 85%. Keep it flat. Don't grow the occupancy, just grow the ADR. We are able to see through our thinking tokens, which all of you will be able to see how our AI thinks, and all the agents are communicating. You'll see all of that live. It started to search for flight traffic at the airport to see what flights were canceled within that specific market, to then retarget each one of those individuals that it had access to through the flight logs, to then be able to say, these individuals are the ones we need to retarget to come stay at our hotel because they are most likely going to stay here based on historical data. So what we're doing internally, it's all about conscious hospitality. Long gone are the days where we're guessing and trying to figure out, how do we target this demographic? How do we grow this segment? How do we get more of this type of group business? We are training our different agents and our symphony of models, which are proprietary, which is another topic that needs to be discussed when it comes to the narrow tasks. I think it's important to also mention, let's be very careful about what's on the back end of what you're using. I'm gonna say that again. Let's be very careful about what's on the back end of what you're using. There are a lot of rappers out there, and I'm not talking about the hip hop guys. I'm talking about the products that are built and are sitting on frameworks of some of the legacy players that I love and adore and respect. But what we decided to do was take a different approach. We wanted to train every single one of our models that we're using, that we trained, inference training, we did every single aspect of making them our own, to then be able to allow them to answer all of these niche challenges within our industry. So, back in my day when I was a GM, it'd probably take 3 to 6 weeks for me to get a pro forma built, if another one needed to be built for the next quarter or two per the owners, 3 to 6 weeks. Now we can spin that up probably in a minute, 2 minutes, and every single one of the team members that are associated with making that final decision, from your CRO from C-suite all the way corporate, all the way down to the property level, they will all get an alert stating, this is the information, these are the thinking tokens, these are what the agents are saying, what do you think? Yes, no, maybe so. And it will start to rework on that final outcome and then give you the outcome. And then when you all say yes, it's gonna be sent automatically via email to whoever it needs to go to. So those are some of the things that I think we've addressed, and I think it's important to understand that it is possible to answer the niche problems in hotels. Back to your question.
Thanks. David?
I think there's the human aspect of it from a myth. I hear it all the time that AI is going to replace humans. And I mean, we all love the science fiction movies, and what was the robot movie, the iRobot movie, and you all kind of envision that. And to go a little bit on, Harmon's quote, and I've seen that quote written multiple times, but I want to make sure I got it right. But the one way that I saw it was, AI will not replace humans, but those who use AI will replace those who don't. And so there is that certain aspect where, yes, we are still in this growing space where we're learning this. I think Matt used the term literacy. We have an AI steering team meeting in our group. We've got senior leaders from every department represented. If you asked them what AI was and you went across the 12 people, you'd probably get a different definition across everyone. And so getting that literacy level up to the same level of understanding would be helpful. But what we have seen in our pilots is really a shift of humans, not like a replacement of humans, but a shift of humans, because we're so tightly staffed in other departments within the hotel that we're able to take them from back of house, bring them up to front of the house, some more exciting jobs that they can do, get them off the phone where they're actually talking face to face with our guests. And I think that's the shift that we're going to need to see. And that's, and I don't want to minimize the change management aspect of that. So we can say that at a leadership level within our organization, that we're not replacing you, we're changing your job, and we're going to move you into another role. And we've got to show that in our examples as we're going through and we're implementing projects, and show them that we're willing to invest in them and to teach them new skills and to move into that. So there is a change management aspect. You know, this is not a technology problem. We can push the technology, you know, down pretty simple. Getting people to adopt and adapt it is really important, because we don't want to lose our existing staff. We just want to transition them into a place where they can have a longer career with our organization. So,
Gopu?
The myth, I think, is that everyone, so I think someone brought it up earlier today, is it a bubble? And as hoteliers, we questioned everything. Website, we questioned it. Then next thing, social media, we're like, is that going to really monetize? Where's the ROI on social media? And then came influencers. Oh, let's engage influencers, get them into a hotel. Where's the ROI on influencers? So I think now the question will be, where's the ROI on AI, right? So I just think, but this is something that's here to stay. Someone mentioned that the future of AI is not what happens in 2 years, it's in 2 months. So don't rush into it, let it play its role, and things are going to be transformational. I think this is, someone compared it to the internet bubble, but I think this is going to be much rapid. It's going to hit us like it's going to be much faster in terms of, because the consumers are leading that change.
Right.
They're the ones who are making us adapt to AI rather than the other way around.
Thanks, Gopu. Matt, anything else?
Yeah, look, yesterday I got a call from an owner, a hotel owner, and they said, Matt, how many jobs are you replacing in 2026 with AI? Right? These are the questions that people are going to be asking, and I'm going to double down on what David said. That, to me, is the big myth. I highly recommend, there's a professor at University of Pennsylvania, Ethan Mollick. He's got a great blog called One Useful Thing. It's free to join. I'll just give you the spoiler for this week's article. He wrote an article all about, we're not going to replace jobs, we're going to replace tasks. Think of the front desk. Check people in, check people out, assign rooms. There's probably 50 tasks a front desk agent does. AI will replace or automate a lot of those tasks, but we're not going to get rid of the person at the front desk, and if you wanted to, you'd put a kiosk in. Look, there's nothing artificial about hospitality. If we believe that this is, as Harman said, a people-centric business, we still want people talking to people. So we got to get away from this myth of AI replacing jobs and be thinking about AI replacing tasks.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
Can I just
Yes.
add to that? I think if you bucket all the jobs in the world, it comes under people making, people caring, and people thinking. So making and thinking is probably going to be disrupted, but caring is what we all represent to a large extent as hospitality. As a high touch, I think that's somewhat going to stay intact.
Great, thank you. David, I'm going to come to you. You oversee the IT infrastructure as a whole, and one thing comes to mind always that tends to be a blind spot for most companies is cybersecurity. How do you look at the cybersecurity space in your side in the constant evolution of AI and these models that is just a pig in a blanket, right? You kind of go through it in that sense. How do you navigate yourself for the company as a whole?
now you remind me why I'm all gray, because I have that security aspect and responsibility. You know, one of the things that we have seen, yes, we can use AI for the good, but certainly those bad actors, the hackers, have learned how to use AI way faster than we have. I'll just give you an example from a phishing perspective. The automated phishing emails that we're getting, and we have pretty good phishing monitoring tools in place, but to understand the scale of it, you know, for a company of our size, we're blocking about 350,000 phishing emails a month. In the last, and I would say this probably started in January, that jumped from 350,000 emails a month to over 6 million emails a month. So our blocking tools are really good. They block 99.9% of phishing emails. Well, at 350,000, you can do the math. That's 100 or so phishing emails getting through. But if they're sending 6 million phishing emails through, that means 3,000, 4,000 emails are getting into our employees, and we have definitely seen it from an incident response and attack vector. So we're looking at like belt from a security perspective. I've always said this for 20 years. It's belts and suspenders in security. We're actually looking at putting in multiple email gateways, and so we could, if the first email system doesn't catch the phishing email, then we have a second one from a completely different company that will then vet the emails again and hopefully get that back down to a manageable response. But training, and this goes back to the high turnover we have in the hospitality space. We went from annual security awareness training, which is required for PCI compliance and things like that. Doing this annual just doesn't work anymore. And so we've pushed all of our training up to be monthly now. We do phishing simulations you have to do, and we used to do them really easy. Had a lot of spelling errors and things like that in them so they can catch them. We're not easy on our associates anymore. And but the training aspect, there's got to be something better. And I don't know if it's the turnover. I haven't figured out if there's a silver bullet here from that perspective. But the attackers are certainly using these automated solutions to go after us. The one last one that I've been seeing a lot lately is some of the deep fake or voice cloning. If we get good blocking, gateways in place to block phishing emails, well, they'll just call the front desk. And then, our CEO's got a nice, strong French accent, so it's pretty easy to clone. And but we've had his voice cloned, and asking a front desk manager to buy $2,000 worth of gift cards, and his accent is it sounds just like him. And so it is definitely a game of whack-a-mole, and something that I worry about that we're always chasing. So security is definitely something we have to continue to tighten our belts up.
Yeah, I'm just going to add post-quantum. That's all I'm going to say. Post-quantum.
I'm going to retire before that happens. So.
Yeah, so I would, everyone in the audience, I just do your homework on that and just make sure you're prepared, and I'll stop there.
Once to hold the mic, I have a question from you. Just a minute, if you could take. Gopu touched on ROI methodology, right? Like, what is that? All of us are trained from the beginning on the mindset of, hey, if I'm going to spend $500, where's my 8-to-1 ROI, 10-to-1 ROI, et cetera. Then came the influencers, then came others, where it's all tied to attribution modeling, et cetera. How do you train an owner now, and also being in stealth mode and then building a new platform? How do you talk through ROI modeling, that it's not about the short-term and instant ROI, and it's something that's more of a long-term investment, but a lot of these companies live and die by the quarter. How do you address that?
Yeah, no, this will sound surprising from an operator. The owners are right. They're right. We need to look at it from both the short-term and the long-term ROI perspective. What we're seeing with our capabilities internally, we can address every single department, every single vertical, every single area of expense management to then work with those AI agents and HI, as we call them, right? It's human intelligence, that's us, in tandem to understand I'll give you an example, procurement, right? Where are you getting your OS&E from? Where are you ordering it from? And how much are you paying for each one of those items on your OS&E list? Are you able to find a more strategic and efficient route to order items that are closer at a lower cost? What about your goods from your food and beverage perspective, right? COGS. Where are you getting all of your ingredients? Where are you getting your meat? Where are you getting anything that you need to order for a hotel? We're all pretty much using the same websites, guys. Let's keep it real, okay? And I don't need to give them a plug right now, but I think that's an area that can immediately impact the bottom line and support that ROI question. The other area is revenue management. Where I'm not going to speak specifically to methodologies of revenue management, but we as humans, we have families. We have to go home. We have lives. We cannot yield 24/7, 365. It's not possible to deploy a rate strategy 24/7, 365. There'll be multiple humans in the machine that are making these decisions, the human machine, that is. What if you had some AI agents that could be augmented, because we all know we're already all part of a cybernetic collective. We're attached to our phones 99% of the day. What if you were able to augment some AI agents to connect with your HI, to then yield with you 24/7, 365, and when you wake up in the morning as a revenue manager, you're getting not just these cool, fluffy insights, you're getting direct, targeted, data-driven direction as to what options exist to change, and you get to make the decision. If you don't want to make the decision, then allow the AI. You can take it from 30% AI, 70% HI, to 90% AI, 10% HI, and help you make those final decisions. So looking at it from a revenue standpoint, procurement, you can look at it from sales, marketing, what groups are we targeting? How are we going to close on these new corporate negotiated, groups and accounts? What are the rates that we need to have for our 3 seasons? All of this information, and I'm just going to be very honest here, all of this information, sadly, from a lot of the experience that I've had and being on all these different boards, I'm seeing, yes, there is some data that helps make the decisions, but a lot of it's speculative. And that was one of my big frustrations. I just wanted the truth. I wanted 100% data that said, this is the decision we need to make. I didn't want to hear 50% data and another 50%, like, here's the idea. So that's how we're targeting the ROI problem. It is surgical, targeted, true 100% data so you can run your business combined with AI and HI.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the Rock.